Doctor Strange in the Multiuniverse of Madness is going to be coming into the theaters this weekend, so today I'm going to be stopping and ranking all 13 X-Men movies from the worst to the best, as it seems that we're going to be seeing some of our X-Men characters in the movie. So I haven't really talked about the X-Men movies before on this channel. Thought I'd rank them, thought it'd be something nice to do, and to sort of rewatch some of them and then watch some for the first time. So this is Max Reviews, I'm Braden, and let's get ranking them. Coming in last place here, unfortunately, is going to be X-Men Origins Wolverine. Like everybody else, I really don't like this movie. This is really one of the worst superhero movies ever made. One thing, the first time that I watched it, and I'm like, that wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. Then I rewatched it for this video, and my sisters had a similar reaction to me. They're like, that wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. And then I watch it, I'm like, this is absolutely one of the worst movies ever made. And it's really, really bad. The CGI looks so bad. It's one of the worst looking CGI movies that I've seen in the 2000s. The acting, the twists, the turns does not work. And it's a great comedy because you can make so much fun about it. My sisters actually really enjoyed this movie, at least they say. I bet they'll rewatch it and think it's horrible, but it is such a bad movie. The initial concept is pretty good with figuring out how Wolverine's origins and everything like that, but it just tells you every single thing and it leaves nothing up to question. And so that sort of just shoots it all down. I really did not enjoy this movie. It's got Deadpool in it for some reason, Ryan Reynolds, and they're still making fun of how it ended with him. Absolutely horrible film. One of the worst superhero movies of all time. And the X-Men movies, they could have some really high highs and then they have some low lows. Coming in 12th place here, we're going to have X-Men Apocalypse. This movie, again, I had to rewatch it, and it's another one of those movies that is not good. Oscar Isaacs is in here as Apocalypse, and they take Oscar Isaac, voted the sexiest man in the world a few years ago, and they cover him in makeup. And then also, they try to Apocalypse is just such a horrible villain, because he doesn't know anything about the modern world. He wants to take over the world, and that's just so generic, and I don't like that. And he should be this epic villain, but he really isn't. You're introduced to so many new characters, and once again, the CGI looks absolutely horrendous in this movie. Characters all suck. I don't know a bunch of the stuff that's going on here, like a Professor X, Beast, everybody here, it just feels wrong. It's set in the 80s, but it doesn't work. And just Nightcrawler is just horrible in this movie. They pushed in an Wolverine cameo that absolutely did not need to be there. It's not a cute thing. It's just like they are just relying on the cameos from Wolverine. I really didn't like that. The final battle isn't good, and we actually figure out how Charles lost his hair, but nobody was asking that. Another one of these movies that I hate, I despise. Our new characters are not good, and our older ones just don't seem right with what's going on here. Just so weird how the X-Men timeline works, where this is the 80s, and they don't look like they've aged a day, and they're supposed to be pretty old. They're supposed to be in their 30s in this year, and it's just weird how the timeline works with everything. So I really do not like this movie, and there's so much in here. You have Magneto and his family, which I enjoyed, and then you had Quicksilver being his son, and they also have Quicksilver. The only good scene in this entire movie is Quicksilver, but still, I feel like this movie Another horrible movie from the X-Men movies. 11th place here, another really bad one, is going to be X-Men Last Stand. This one, on rewatch, isn't as bad as I remember it, but still, they take all these characters from the original trilogy that you really enjoy, and then they, one by one, either get rid of their powers, kill them, or turn them to human. And that just, it's horrible how they mistreated Cyclops, Mystique, how they mistreated Charles Xavier, how they did that, Magneto, what they did with him, Jane dying, just killing all these characters that we actually cared about, and I don't like it. I don't like any of the new characters. It's, some of the plot lines just don't go anywhere. You have Angel hating his dad, and then by the end, he's saving his dad when you have nothing going on there. You kill all these characters, and that'll just make everybody mad at you. It's pathetic how they tried to do this movie. I just don't enjoy it. Another one of these movies that's just like, why? They ruined it, and the only reason that I feel so bad about this movie and about them killing all the characters is because I cared about these characters, and they messed it up on Last Stand. Beast is introduced to this movie. I don't really care for him. The mutant cure is in this movie. You also have the Phoenix thing going on. You just have so much going on in this movie that it just does not work. It's so packed with stuff that it doesn't work. It really doesn't work. When you push so much stuff into one movie, just like X-Men Apocalypse, it doesn't work. 10th place here, unfortunately, is the Wolverine. I just couldn't get into this movie. I know some people really enjoyed it, the first 2/3 of this movie, before it goes crazy in the third act, but I wasn't enjoying it in the beginning. I was just like, oh, another Wolverine movie. I didn't care for it. I really am done with it. I wasn't interested in the Japanese stuff at all. I just thought it was sort of weird. I'm like, what is going on here? And then you have just a horrible third act that the villain, how they do the twist with that, it's just so stupid. And how it ends with a samurai robot, it's so weird. I don't care about any of the characters in this movie except for Logan or Wolverine. And I could see how some people could enjoy this sort of samurai, Japanese sort of version of an X-Men movie. But for me, it just doesn't work, unfortunately. I can understand if you like this movie. There's some really cool action scenes in here. I could give it that. On the train, you have a good action scene. You have some cool stuff until the third act. And then just how it ends. Nope, not for me, unfortunately. I could understand. If you like it. The Japanese stuff. The sort of Godfather-esque stuff that's going on here. But then you had the weird third act, and I wasn't interested in anything. So didn't care for it, unfortunately, and I could understand if you like it. 9th place here, we have The Dark Phoenix, the second to last X-Men movie that came out, and another bad one from the X-Men movies. You have aliens in this movie. You also have Jane, and she's got the Dark Phoenix power, which comes from like this weird thing that gets absorbed into her. Charles Xavier is acting so weird in this movie. He's fine with killing people. It seems he acts nothing like he has in any other X-Men movie. Magneto is so weird, where he's like, okay, we're saving people now, and then immediately after they tell him that that Jane killed Mystique, he's like, okay, I'm gonna murder people again. And then the whole thing with Mystique, just like Mystique, you feel Jennifer Lawrence just really, she didn't want to do this, and they killed her off, and I'm just like, yikes, wow, another bad thing for the X-Men movies. So a bunch of people say this is the worst. I don't think this is the worst, but still not good at all. One good thing that I can say about it, the final battle, although I feel like, I was like, this is the final battle. I thought it was like the middle battle before the final battle. And the final battle is actually epic. I love that. That was great final battle. But aliens, I really do not care for the aliens. You could tell that there was some changes in the scripted stuff, with some people are talking and then you don't see their mouths move, and it's like, what is going on? And The aliens thing had to be changed because it came out the same year as Captain Marvel, and Captain Marvel, they were originally going to do Skrulls, but Captain Marvel did it, so they couldn't do that. So just, I remember in 2019 this was coming out, I'm like, wow, that looks pretty cool, and then I finally checked it out, I'm like, no, this is not good. The only good thing about it is the final battle, and even that, I'm like, at the end of it, I just do not care for this movie at all. 8th place here, we have the New Mutants. This one sort of surprised me. I thought it was fine. This is the weirdest one to end the entire X-Men franchise. I remember it came out a couple years ago. I'm like, I don't care. I really don't care. There was like a horror teen thing. People compared it to the Breakfast Club, which I haven't seen and probably should check out, but I haven't seen yet. So, I was going in with, semi good expectations. I was expecting it to be, pretty good sort of horror, teen, sort of weird thing. And it was, like, originally after I watched it, I'm like, oh, that wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. And then after rethinking, I'm like, nah, I didn't like that too much. So, it's better. It's not horrible. It was just so weird. So you have all these different X-Men characters. You have, like, let me think. I think you have under a dozen people in the entire movie, human beings. They're all in this one facility, and this girl is causing like nightmares to come alive, their deepest fears. And then you just have all these characters that I just don't really care. The only character that I care about is the girl that has got like the pterodactyl on her hand, and even that I don't really care about it that much. So it's just weird movie, and it tries to tie it into Logan in the end, and it's just so weird how they do it. I don't even know what to think about this movie at this point. It's just like, wow, what a weird way to end the X-Men franchise, because it doesn't even have any other tie-ins with the other X-Men movies, which every other movie in the X-Men franchise does have tie-ins. This movie has no tie-ins except for Logan, and they mention the X-Men. So such a weird way to do it. It was a pretty cool like horror thing for a little bit, but even then, it was just weird. I never want to watch it again. Like, maybe I'll rewatch Dark Phoenix, but I will never rewatch New Mutants, I don't think. 7th place here, we're getting to, like, medium/good. We have X-Men. This is a pretty big jump up from New Mutants. The original X-Men. The visual effects aren't that great. The story's fine. But I enjoy our characters. It's nice to be introduced to Wolverine/Logan and Rogue and Charles Xavier and Storm and Cyclops and everybody. It's just nice to be introduced to everybody. I enjoy them. They're fun and just good X-Men movie. I just feel like the story here feels pretty generic. Like, Magneto's gonna turn everybody into mutants. It's fine. It's fine. Compared to some of the stupid stories that they got in other movies, this one feels just okay. And other stuff that sort of is going on in this movie, you have like this school introduced, and then you have this political stuff going on. But it's fun. It's fun enough. It's good enough. It's weird enough that I just enjoyed it. It's got some cool action scenes. You get introduced to these characters, and I liked it. It was pretty good. Like, pretty solid 7 out of 10. 6th place here, we have X-Men First Class. I checked this out for the first time just a couple weeks ago, and it isn't as good as people say, for me at least. I found that Charles Xavier and Magneto/Eric, great. I really loved them. They were great in this movie. You have some really emotional parts to this movie, and then you also have just the bad guys, which I thought some of them were fine. But then you get to the other parts, I feel like the First Class in this movie are really cartoonish and weird, and I didn't enjoy them as much. Some villains are okay, like the main villain, but the rest are really just, I did not care for the villains in this movie. And then just Mystique looks weird in this movie. Same thing in in Dark Phoenix, he just looks weird. I don't like how this movie ends with Magneto. It's like, what's going on here with the final shot of the movie? And I really don't like the person that's supposed to be Charles' love interest. She's just not that great in this movie. I don't like her in X-Men Apocalypse. Like, I just do not like this character. So, X-Men First Class, even though I said all that bad stuff about it, I still enjoy this movie. It's got some good parts to it. It's got some good characters, some cool action. I enjoy it quite a bit. Great character arcs. I love what they did with Magneto. But overall, this is just a fine movie. Still, I know some people love this movie, and for me, unfortunately, I don't like it as much as a bunch of other people. Fifth place here, we have Deadpool 2. I love this movie. It's just such a fun movie. We're getting into the good movies here. The action scenes in this are epic. The jokes in this one, I think, are a bit, no, I'm not too big on some of the jokes in here. A bit too weird how they do it. But also, I love the stuff like the final post-credit scene where he's going back in time and killing Hitler and just killing Ryan Reynolds and all this cool jokes that they have in here. The action scenes are once again amazing. Characters, great. I like the plot in here. The one thing that I didn't really enjoy was the fire boy, who's in this, who just like, I'll kill you, bro, and just, I don't like him as much. He's just not that great. But other than that, I really enjoy this movie. One thing, the action scenes are so good in these movies. The jokes, there are some good jokes in here. There's some cool stuff they haven't seen before. I don't think it's nearly as good as the first one, but I still have a ton of fun watching this movie with all the crazy, insane stuff that's going on here. Fun movie, and just another great one. Can't wait if they come out with a third Deadpool. Just what a fun character. Fourth place here, we have X2, or X-Men 2, Last X-Men United. This is where the X-Men movies, I watched the first one, I'm like, oh, this is fine. And then I watched the second one back in, I don't know, maybe September last year. And I'm like, these movies could get good. This is a great X-Men movie. It brings everything up to the next level that the first one sort of set everything out. This one expands upon it with the epic action. Great characters, new characters, great character arcs. And you have Night. You have all these different, you have this great villain here of Stryker, who he's a human character, but he also has just this sort of ominous sense to him. How they're ending the movie just works really well for me with them going to the president's house. And then you also have that great opening scene when you have Nightcrawler just coming up and killing all these guys. Just Nightcrawler's great in this movie. I enjoy Mystique in this movie. Logan's great in this movie. Just great movie overall. How it ends, the epic ending, and the ending with Jane, what she does. It's just a great movie. It's where the X-Men movies could get good. I enjoy this movie. It's got some fun parts to it. It could be, the characters are, you feel you care about them a bit more. But it also has the cool action and just more emotional moments than you would usually expect. Before we get into the top three, I just keep in mind, I haven't seen any of these movies. The first one that I saw was X-Men, and I saw that under a year ago. So I'm new to the X-Men movies. I just decided to rank these because why not? Just be something cool to do before we see probably some of these characters. I'm assuming that we're going to see Magneto, Charles Xavier, and Deadpool, and probably Wolverine in Multiuniverse of Madness, but we'll see. So this is my opinion. Leave your comments down below, your ranking. Coming in third place here is going to be Deadpool. What a just so cool and interesting way to switch up the basic sort of superhero premise when you have this character of Deadpool who has become so entwined with pop culture nowadays that just you'll see people going as him for Halloween. And just one of these characters that Ryan Reynolds' best character that he cares so much about, and you really feel it for this movie. It's so classic. And the second Deadpool movie, like the standout scene for me would be definitely when they're assembling the team and then killing the team. But in this movie, just everything just feels so classic. Even though I've only seen it twice, it feels classic. Deadpool is great in this movie. The villain of Francis is just, he's not as big as Cable, but he's just so fun of a villain. And I have a ton of fun with this movie. just the cast, the characters, the jokes in this movie, how it plays out with not going in the regular order. You have flashbacks and getting caught up. It's just a fun movie. So I just enjoy this movie as much as everybody else. There is some like not as amazing jokes, and the story is a bit just but I still enjoy this movie. It's such a fun movie. Second place here, we have X-Men Days of Future Past, the movie that sort of combines the new X-Men characters and the old X-Men characters, and I think it does an amazing job of it. It really hits an emotional note. I like the villains here. They're some of the best villains in the entire franchise. I've seen this movie twice, and each time it just still hits those emotional notes, and it does also have great action here, which the special effects are good enough so that they could look good, and they also aren't cheesy, so really, really like the action here. Characters, you feel it for the characters in this movie. You have these great confrontations between Patrick Stewart, Charles Xavier, and James McAvoy, Charles Xavier. Great stuff right there. You have Magneto in this movie. You just have all these characters come together, and when people sacrifice themselves, there's emotion there. You actually feel something. And the villains, how it all goes, how it ends with actually having Mystique as a giant piece of the plot, it's amazing. I love this movie. It just combines everything so well, and I went into this movie not knowing that it would combine the future and the past, and it did, and I just really, really, really enjoyed this movie. Easily the best X-Men movie for me, and just the little character moments, the little parts to it, I just really, really love this movie. But easily coming in first place here, this is my first time watching it, but still it comes in first, easily, is going to be Logan. Everybody says this is the best. This is easily the best in everybody's opinion, and I am no exception. Just, the movie itself has just such a different feel from an X-Men movie while still being an X-Men movie. It's obviously trying to be sort of a Western vibe, and I really enjoy that. Patrick Stewart, Charles Xavier, just gives easily his best performance that I've ever seen. Hugh Jackman gives another greatest performance that I've seen from him ever. And then even the girl in this movie, who she doesn't even have that many lines, but she still has an impact. Great job to her. Her name, I guess, is Daphne Keane. Just the villain here, just great. You remember him. So the cast is great. The performances alone are so amazing. You have some great character moments. Some of the best action here, other than the Deadpool movies, and just some of the best action. I would say the best action. And how the movie ends, it feels like this is the actual end to the X-Men franchise, and it does such a great job of ending everything, basically, and just having a great, epic ending for send-off for Logan. I don't think they could have ever done it better than they just did. I loved it so much, how it ends and sort of closes the chapter on the X-Men movies. Even though we did have Deadpool 2 and New Mutants and Dark Phoenix come after this, this feels like the proper end to the X-Men franchise. Easily the best. Nobody has ever said that this isn't the best as far as I know. So leave your comments down below. You're ranking the X-Men movies. Like, subscribe to Max Reviews. Thank you everyone for watching. I did rewatch all these movies, so it took a while to put this out. Can't wait to see Multiuniverse of Madness. Probably you could expect a video for that in a week or two. Thank you everyone for watching. Like, subscribe to Max Reviews. Braden out.